Okay, so thank you both so much for joining me today to talk about the new web series. The first kind of question I had for you both was I just wanted to find out more about We Rise and just so that we can all kind of know what the series is about. And that's for either one of you.
That's definitely a Sarah question. Good.
Okay, cool. So Payne's Plough approached Nouveau Riche, the company I work for as a producer, saying like, so we went to Edinburgh, we took a show to Edinburgh with them and reflected that it was a really, really difficult time, especially as Black and global majority artists taking a show up about issues that our community faces. And they said, well, look, we recognize this. We want to work towards fixing it. Fixing it is probably the wrong word, but bettering society around this. Can we talk about this? Can we create this web series with you where we talk about issues within our communities, within the theatre industry specifically, and how young emerging artists can find, Black and global majority young emerging artists can find ways into the industry with companies like Nouveau Riche, with the artists, Ewa, Kalai, Ryan, myself, who were talking on the web series, how young people can find a way into the industry without knowing people who are already in there, because it does become a who you know and who they know game, when really it should be fair game to anyone coming in. You shouldn't have to have that step up of like, knowing 5 people, knowing 3 people. So it was a short web series, couple of episodes, where 4 artists talked about our experiences as in our roles. So we had a writer, Ewa, who's an actor and director and facilitator, and myself as a producer, and Ryan as a writer and a director and the AD of Nouveau Riche.
Perfect. Do you know, it sounds so interesting because I agree with you. I think the world of theatre is one of the most complicated, for me anyway, worlds to kind of enter into. And it took me years and years to kind of even get my foot in the door, just because, as you guys were saying, it's this whole kind of thing where it's about who you know rather than what you know. And it just shouldn't be like that. It should just, because I never went to theatre as a kid, so I didn't move in those circles. So how am I supposed to know those kind of people? And that will be the same for all of us. Like, unless you know somebody, it's like a secret society. And it shouldn't be like that at all. So I do think, you guys are creating almost like a tool book for people to kind of find out how you guys did it and what they can do to kind of get into the industry, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And
that's what we hope. Sorry.
No, you go for it.
No, that's what we hope it is. It's sort of like a how-to, but also like you see people's faces on a screen and you can kind of connect more than with us than just an email address or an Instagram page or LinkedIn if you use LinkedIn. I don't know if anyone in this actually uses it, but Twitter. You can sort of connect with these people a little bit more and might be more likely to like message someone, be like, hey, do you want to get a coffee? Can we talk about this really specific thing? Because I know you do that. It's sort of an easy way to get to know people really quickly.
Yeah, I do agree. What attracted you both to take part in the web series?
I think like I would probably still count myself as like an emerging creative or on the rise, whatever that means. I'm at the point in my career where I am, and I think I, especially as someone like I didn't grow up in London. I moved here for drama school, that kind of thing. Like I definitely feel like I understand what it is to like start from nothing and try to like get in the door, and how much you have to kind of move around and try and try and try again until somebody takes a chance on you. And I thought it's actually quite enriching to have something that helps people to recognize that they're not crazy, that this industry is like that they're having to push and push because that's what the industry like requires of you when you're first coming into it, but also have a space where you can give people advice on what to do and how to move forward. You can let people get to know you without you necessarily having to be in the same room as them. Like all of that stuff about demystifying the barriers that have been kind of falsely placed in the industry really interests me. So that's why I want to when they kind of told me what the point of the series was, I was like, yeah, this is something I'd really want to get involved in.
Nice. And
For
Sarah?
me, it was very similar. I moved from Singapore for drama school and knew no one in London, and it felt like you said, it felt like a secret society, and it felt like um, we were lucky in that all the teachers we had were working in the industry. But even then, with the class of 16 to 20 kids, like you need that person who's going to go, right, this is someone new who's coming in, but I'm going to take a chance on them because I believe in them. And I
Mm,
think because of the how small we are as a black and brown community in the theatre industry, people just see less of us, and then you're less likely to take a chance on us. So that little chance, that sliver of chance, becomes even smaller, and you have to get, as much as it is hard work and graft. It's also luck. Like I got extremely lucky with Nouveau Riche, I think. Um, I started working there about a year and a half ago now. But like I applied for a job and did an interview, and it just so happened Ryan saw something that he thought, okay, this person out of the 5 or 6 people that were interviewed, and I definitely brought that down to luck. And I think it shouldn't be that much of a graft. It shouldn't be a like you need credits to then get credits, or you need to be able to work for free, for cheap, spend on travel, spend on like lunches and dinners, etc. Um, it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that difficult to get into the industry. And another thing that really puts the barrier up is once you hit 25, you feel like you should be at a certain point,
mhm.
what people call mid-career, but I feel like that mid-career is slowly disappearing because all the schemes for emerging for young creatives finish at 25, 26 at push.
Mm,
So let's say you come out drama school, average age is 21, and then what, you have 4 years to sort yourself out. Like that's
yeah.
hardly any time. It takes a year to get to know the industry. I think it takes a year to like get used to that massive life change,
Mm,
um, and find your tribe and find your people and find like the swing of things. That if we can create more of this, more of like bridging that gap and giving people more easier access into our industry, I think we're going to have a far more diverse and inclusive industry.
I completely agree. I think agree with both what both of you guys are saying. I think one thing I always find really frustrating about the industry is, as you were saying, about if you're under 25, you also get a lot more support actually if you're between, I think, 18 to 25 than you do if you're over.
Mm.
So when
yeah.
Yeah.
which I think is unfair.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
when I started to get back into theatre, I was in my early 30s. And I remember being like, I felt like the only kind of over
Mm,
30-year-old person. And it took years for me then to kind of feel a bit more like my feet were just a bit more established. So I do think there is something in theatre where they need to be more not only inclusive towards us in regards to our gender, our race, but also with our age as well, because I think the opportunities are
Mhm.
slightly just not there the older you get,
mm,
which is a shame. Ewa, I have a question for you, which is because I know you're an actor and you're a director.
mhm,
And there'll be so many people that will want to get into either one of those kind of fields. What
mm,
advice would you give? And also, what has been kind of what made you want to get into this
mm.
field?
Also, just to say, my name's pronounced Ewa.
Ewa,
Um,
sorry. And
no, it's okay. Like everybody, it's a weird name to say. It's not weird. I love my name, but as in it's just weird to
no,
say.
it's a lovely name.
No stress. So yeah, like in terms of what advice I'd give. So I suppose what helped me to get into that as a creative. So I went to Rose Bruford drama school, and initially I just wanted to kind of be an actor, but I don't think I did. Like I was interested in the world of creativity. I didn't really start until I was older. Like it was my drama teacher really that kind of saw me when I was doing this thing of carousel in school and was like, "Oh, you're quite good at." When it was my 6 weeks in drama or whatever, she was like, you're quite good at it. You should think of taking it for GCSE. And I was kind of like, well, I don't know if it's like down my career path, but she really pushed me. And she kind of like, I always say like my career and stuff is very much, I owe it a lot to her because she pushed me to get involved in other community initiatives. Sheffield People's Theatre was around at the time. Um, yeah, and she just like pushed me to do MIT, that kind of thing. Just kept giving me things that gave me the confidence to feel like I could do this. And that's what inspired me ultimately to go to drama school. Um, and I think I don't know what I liked about it, but I liked it. I liked being other people. I liked the fact that I got to be creative in a different way. Like I've always been quite academic, and that felt so far away from the realms of academia that I think it gave me an opportunity to like discover more of myself. And I think that was the initial captivation. And then as I've learned more, the love for it has just grown. But in terms of like why I do other stuff, I probably say like I act, which is what I trained in, but I also direct, facilitate, and I write predominantly poetry. Um, and I feel like I'm lucky enough that in some aspect I've been able to do all four so far in my career. Um, but I think having to like determine or make a choice to do that and make a choice to do lots of different things has been quite hard because I found that a lot of people want you to define quite quickly who you are and what you do. So like if you're an actor, you're an actor. If you're a director, then that's what you are. And I especially recently I have a lot of people asking me, so what's your favorite? But if you had to pick one, what would that be? And I'm like, well, I don't have a favorite because if I just act for a while, which is, quite difficult and quite lucky to do that. But even when I do, I'm like, okay, I miss directing now. Same thing with directing, same thing with facilitating, same thing with writing. So it just kind of makes up a lot of my life. But I'd probably say the biggest piece of advice is that I'd give to people is not to limit yourself. Um, Even if you see yourself as just one thing, if the opportunity arises to test something out and to grow a different part of yourself, then why not? Like we are ultimately, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna put my thing on do not disturb and I'll continue. Like we are ultimately creative beings. So I'm not sure who created the rule that you have to be like connected to just one thing and that's it. I really believe that every strand that you have informs another. So why not continue to grow and just make stuff, in your time? Like when the urge comes, follow that. I think there's a lot of boxing in this industry. There's a lot of like people wanting to, I don't think it's purposeful, but like in some sense putting you down or squashing your fire. And that a lot of that is like past experiences, trauma, XYZ. So because of that, they kind of go out into the world in a way where it's like, well, you need to decide, I'm helping you. But really that's about things that you haven't resolved within yourself, you know? So instead we should be giving, give people the opportunity, the confidence to feel like they can explore more. And I think we'd find a lot more multi hyphenates than we do right now. I don't think I'm special. I think I'm just lucky that, not even lucky, but I've been put in a situation where I've had different people believing me at different points in my life. And that's encouraged me to follow these paths and ultimately allowed me to grow. So, yeah.
No, thank you. And I think it's great that you have like multi skills. And I agree, like that you should never have to kind of pigeonhole your skills into one thing. Like if you love multiple things or if you're good at multiple things, I think it's important to kind of to shine in them all. Which is it's really nice to kind of know and to see that's what you're doing. No worries. Sarah, same question to you, which is how you got into producing and what advice you could give to someone that is new or wants to kind of get into producing.
You got to love it to do it. I think that's with everything theatre though. Like it's grueling. You have to really love it to do it. But I trained as an actor and always loved everything to do with theatre and thought I had to specify quite early on. I was like, well, I have to find one thing and just do that. And I never wanted to. I really enjoyed acting, although I wasn't amazing at it. I did a little bit of directing and quite enjoyed it. Did a bit of like design from like costume, obviously, or like uni, nothing professional, but costume and lighting and stuff like that. And I just enjoyed all of it so much. I loved like everything to do with theatre. It was just being so creative and creative with other creative people who think out of the box like you do. It filled me with so much energy. I was like, I don't want to choose just one thing. And then it was a teacher at drama school who sort of pushed me a little bit in the direction of producing. And I ended up doing an intern at Grey Eye, where I was just so happened to be placed with the producer as her assistant. And I was like, oh, this thing that I've never heard of, I really enjoy, and I'm quite good at. And it kind of, because you work so closely with like, especially on like bigger productions as a producer, you work on kind of like every department. So you need to speak the language of every department. And I can kind of dip my toes into all those different jars, which feels really nice and fulfilling, because when I was younger, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Like, you know, I'm there having the creative chats with the director about where the show is going. I'm chatting to the actors about well-being and script and how they are in like learning lines and how the rehearsal rooms are. And then I'm also chatting to the design team and lighting designers and bringing people together. So it kind of does well round everything I wanted to do. And I was like, cool, this is my thing. I really enjoy it. I love producing. I facilitate a little bit on the side. I think as a creative, none of us can just put one hat on. It's also hard to put one hat on because, like I was said, when there's an opportunity and when there's pay on the table, like you're gonna go and do that thing.
Yeah.
And don't say no.
Yeah.
Like say yes to all this stuff that comes up, because one thing will lead to another and suddenly you'll be doing, I don't know, the next big film. If that's what you want to do. The advice I would give is to young producers is use the, I guess, mid to like, what's after mid, nearing end.
Late, sort of mid late.
Late. But use the producers who are like 5 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you, and get as much as you can out of them. That is what's helped me the most, is having mentors and seeking advice from, having coffees with, chatting with people who are where I want to be in 5 years. And that changes every day sometimes. Depending what project I'm working on, it's sometimes more commercial, it's more subsidized. But seek out those people, get coffees with them, email them, chat to them, because it can be really lonely. Like, you know, the actors have each other, the director has the actors, the design team all have each other, and then the producers just sort of tottering about in between all these teams, you know, on their own. So find other producers, make friends with producers. It's also really nice to just know people who are in the same boat as you, who are either theatre makers, producers, or directors in like leadership positions, running a team, because that gets difficult, especially as someone who's young and a person of color. You're just doubted in every space, or at least I am. I've got baby face in every space I go into, and having other people around me who I know trust in me is really nice, because I trusted myself more. Yeah, I think that's all the advice I would give.
Yeah, that's really helpful, and I agree with you. I think it's so important to kind of network and reach out to people that are, you know, a few years, that have been in the game for a few years, that can kind of share their advice. Something I always remember being told is that people that are quite experienced in their career, one thing they love to do is talk about their journey and give advice, because it's like you're kind of, you get a chance to kind of tell your story, and you know, it's always nice to kind of share important kind of information. This is a question going back to We Rise, which would be, what has been your most favorite or enjoyable moment creating the 5-part series?
Question. Do you know what?
Shall I go?
Yeah, you got it. No, if you go. I went first.
From the time we got the questions from Payne's Plough to the interview, to the recorded interview, was quite a long period of time. I'd gone to New York, come back. I was on jet lag brain, but it was really nice. What I mean by that is sort of the questions came quite fresh, because I hadn't seen them for a while, and I was sort of looking at through them before going into the room, and Nick had changed like the wording of them, which was quite nice. They'd made them more specific. That I was really thinking about every question. Obviously they edited it out, but before every question I would take a minute and like really deep it, and I think I discovered so much more that maybe like when we got the questions 3 weeks ago I hadn't even realized or thought about, because this industry changes so fast, and it was just nice taking a moment to like think about, one, how far we've come as people, as a community, as an industry, and two, how far we have left to go. And that's a double-edged sword. Like, yes, it gives you hope because we have come a certain distance, but also it is scary that it feels like we've kind of stagnated now. It's like a lot of companies, a lot of organizations that have the power to make real change because they're the leading organizations in this country have kind of gone, okay, we've made all this drastic change in the last 2-3 years, and now let's, like, we're happy here. We can leave that here and we can focus on other things. But the conversations that We Rise brings up around inclusivity, around race, around our communities and diversity is an ongoing conversation. It can't just sort of happen for 2-3 years, stop for how many ever years, and then start again when like the next movement or the next activist starts talking about it again. It is an ongoing conversation that can't stop. You can't just say, okay, that part's sorted, let me leave it now. I think that's one thing I really enjoyed realizing is that yeah, we've made strides. We've got a long way to go, and I'm hoping we'll get there eventually. I guess the short answer is hope. I enjoyed feeling hope.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was watching it, you know, like because it was interesting to like do it and answer the questions, but we weren't in the room together when we recorded it. It was just us on our own. And I think Nick and some of the other team. Is it Nick? It could be wrong. But yeah, Nick and some of the other team. So it was fascinating to hear and also to learn from like our peers. I feel like at Nouveau we tend to have a lot of conversations around this stuff, but like not planned conversations. They kind of just happen within like meetings or chats or talk about a show or whatever. So taking in their perspective and then like applying it to my life, applying it to my career, I think was my favorite part. And it also made me understand, like, I feel like I'm at a point, and I'm really open about like myself, my journey as it's evolving, because I think that's really important to again demystify like you're a human being. And everybody's in this industry is faking it till they make it. I don't care what anybody says. Everyone's pretending like they know what they're doing. And of course you do. Like that's constantly shifting or being questioned and evolving. And I feel like I'm at a point in my career where I'm really asking myself, like, okay, you've done a lot for outside and for other people and to support that work, but like, what do I actually want to do? What I know what my voice is. In some sense, but it's like, what kind of work do I want to make? What's my lasting effect? Like, I really want to do things that actually actively shape what this industry is and make new spaces for people to come in. So I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, I need to start putting my energy into that. And I think that's what my next year looks like. But I felt like everything that I heard in the kind of 5 episodes has helped to inform that. So I'm taking it in as somebody, even the things that I'm saying, I'm like taking it in. I'm like, oh yes. I just say, but then should remember that the next time you're thinking. Yeah, so I think that was my favorite part. For sure.
Nice. No, that's really good. Now, I've got some very quick fire questions for you both. So these are like really speedy, but it's just to kind of see a bit more about you guys. So the first question is your favorite theatre space.
Oh,
That's a hard one.
God, this is meant to be quick fire. This isn't very quick, is it?
New Diorama.
Space, like stage or rehearsal room?
Stage.
Stage.
Yeah, New Diorama Theatre would be mine.
Nice.
It's so left. But Sheffield Theatres, they have their studio, my favorite space.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nice. And your favorite play?
God, these questions are so hard.
I feel like I've got an easy one here because I have to say for Black Boys Who Consider Suicide,
Okay,
then it here
well,
gets too heavy. But it is really one of my favorite. Like I do dip in and out of it all the time.
mm,
It makes me really excited every time I get to go and see it.
mm. I think I've got to say Salt by Selena Thompson. That play speaks to me on like a
Mm.
cosmic level. Literally like one of the best pieces of writing I've ever read, ever seen. Super affecting. Yeah.
Nice. And your dream guest to watch the series? And they can be dead or alive, I should add.
I've got a couple. I think people like Akala, Stormzy,
Mm,
Idris Elba, who have done a lot of work in our community to change things for young Black and global majority. Stormzy focuses on young Black boys. Akala obviously does like incredible talks and stuff, but people who have like put that effort in to make change in our society to see that it's happening and it's happening at like a very normal level. Obviously, there's like incredible success stories, and maybe in 5 years we'll be them, hopefully. But to see that like in very regular people's lives, it's making a difference,
mm,
and the industry is moving forward. Um, but then another part of me is also like I want people like us to watch it.
mm,
Um, I feel like I'm not giving you an actual name of one person, which is
No,
not
that's good though.
helpful. But people like us who get hope, who, like
mm,
we've been saying, hopefully become a bit more familiar with Nouveau, Riche, with Plough, with the artists um, in the episode, and come and chat to us and contact us and be like, hey, I've got this idea, or I want to do this. Let's grab a coffee, because
mm,
they feel like they know us a little bit more, even though it's again through a screen. But you see a face, you hear a voice. Yeah.
mm. I don't know if I have a dream guest, but I think I have a dream outcome. And I think that's just what if I have to say like my dream guest is like my 15-year-old self who like was
Mm.
kind of starting to toy with the idea of getting into acting, but was a bit like, how the hell am I gonna do that? How is that gonna work? I don't even know anyone that looks like me on TV. Like, so yeah, I think it would be her, but like my dream more current, I think my dream outcome is for someone, anyone at whatever stage in their career to watch this and feel some type of internal shift that then will go on to affect their external. I think like if it can have an impact in someone's life in that way, then I think in some way we've done our job. Like I feel quite strongly about that. And I hope it does. I hope whoever watches it like is actually able to take something from it and also feels comfortable to approach us, like the people in the video. I don't know if you see this, but I'm like so open to having conversations. I'm such a terrible replier. So if I don't reply because I'm trying to air you, but actually like genuinely message me, and I think I can speak for like the other people, me, Sarah, Kalai,
Mm.
Ryan, I'm so open to like having people chat to them and ask for advice or ask us to read something, like really open to that. And I hope that they feel that in watching the work.
No,
Yeah.
that's really good. And then my last one on the fire question is what your proudest career moment to date is.
Ooh,
We're not being quick at all.
I
We're like,
know.
give me a minute. um,
This is so bad. Sorry. Okay. Proudest career moment to date. Can I pick two?
You can, yeah, of course.
Okay. Let me do two. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do two. Okay. The first one. This year I directed a play called Her Naked Skin at Rose Bruford.
Nice.
It was underscored life throughout. It was like a cast of 20, maybe 17. Um, Basically scene changes every scene, massive play, 2 hours long, had an interval. What, maybe like 6, 7 instruments in it. Crazy, just insane, really quite stressful, and it's drama school, so it just has the extra tinge of thingy. But in terms of what we created, it really solidified a lot for me about, like, particularly with directing work, the tools that I use and how I use them. And it really, like, was a standpoint for me that, okay, from this point on, I'm going to continue in this way. And that's kind of about, like, using music to, like, as a another part of storytelling, but it's really integral. Like, it's in my life, it's integral. And I think I was kind of shying away from it before. I was unsure, but now I feel very sure. And that was defining for me. So I'd say that. And I think the second is also this year. You can see where I am creatively. I, as an actor, I did a play at the Vaults. I did a play at Edinburgh at the Fringe Festival called Silkworm, that I hadn't acted in a minute. So that was just a really, like, great opportunity. But we won a Fringe First, which was like, what? I didn't even really know what a Fringe First was before we won it, to be honest. If I'm being really honest with you. But I was just happy, not necessarily because of the award, but I was happy that it was recognized. The subject matter was really important. It's about two queer women trying to seek asylum in the UK. It's about, like, being queer, being Nigerian, being young, what that means. And I was really proud that it was recognized in that way for us, for the story, but most importantly for, like, the people that it's based on, right, and their experiences. And I hope that it grows and more people are able to see it. But yeah, that's me. Go ahead.
Mine is, I worked on a show in November called Perfect Show for Rachel. Our director was Rachel. Am I frozen? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, great. You both frozen. Yeah, so our director was Rachel, who is learning disabled and lives in a care home. And one of the quite a few of the shows, we had people who were disabled or neurodivergent come and watch. But there was this one show where we had Rachel's care home where she lives, and her friends came and watched. And I'm a community producer for the company Zuko, who produced the show. So I do a lot of outreach and community for them, and had, like, contacted them and got them in and all of that kind of stuff. And I was also a scribe in the show, and I haven't acted in a long time. So I was sat behind my laptop, and the entire care home just sort of, like, got up and started dancing to one scene. And it was just incredible to see them so, like, for Rachel to share this with, like, her friends and people she lives with, but also for them to see themselves in a show in a leadership position. Like, Rachel's got this big desk that looks quite, like, grand, and she pushes these buttons, and whichever button she pushes, that's what happens on stage. Like, she can stop it when she wants, she can start a new button whenever she wants, completely up to her. And it's all scenes and songs and dances and stuff she really likes. So it is her show. And I hardly had that growing up, where I would come and sit in a theatre or watch something on television and see myself. And I think, in my adult life, when I've got to do that, it is just an incredible feeling. And it was incredible to see that in someone else and see the joy they found from, like, possibly scenes they didn't connect with because it's, from Rachel's life, but because she was enjoying it and she looked like them and she lived with them and had so many similarities to them that they just found so much joy in that. And, like, all they could say after the show was, like, oh, so happy, we're so happy. And I was like, great, my job is done here.
So actually, I have one more question, which is the person who has had the greatest impact on your career.
There's just so many.
I know.
I feel like this is my acceptance speech for an award where I have to remember to mention every single person.
Okay, I think
you
go, Sarah, because you were ready. Okay, I remember.
I'm not really ready. If I have to choose one, I think it would be, it's really rogue, but it would be my granddad and my family, because they have shaped the way I think and the way I act and my values and morals. And I think that's what's taken me through to where I am now. Um, yeah, and I think that's what I hold dearest to me. Like, no matter the paycheck or the title on a billing or the credit I get, it's the values, the ethics, and the morals of a show that make me go, I want to produce that show. I want to work with, or the same with like the people. And I think that's who I owe my career to, because that's where it's working with the right people, it's working on the right shows to an extent. As in, no show is fully right, but the right shows for me um, that have got me this far. And I guess if I had to choose one, it'd be him, who's instilled that in the family, but my family as a whole. And then there's so many others who've taken that chance on me and given me, my first job and my first producing gig, and trusted me with a lot of budgets and money that probably I shouldn't have been trusted with. So the list could go on, but we'd be here for me all night because it's 9 o'clock.
Oh God, I don't know. I don't really know, but I think instinctively, actually, this might be a cop out, but I think I might say Ryan, especially mostly as my director, my career as a director. Like when I met Ryan, I don't know, in 2017, maybe 2018, I can't remember, but it was after I just seen Queens of Sheba at the Vaults. It was like the first time it'd been put on. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a good show. I haven't seen things that I like this. Da, 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 da. And I kind of ambushed him afterwards. And like I remember he was walking and I was like, hi, sorry, thank you. I can chat to you. And I was like, I really like that work. I'd love to get involved with Nouveau. Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward however many years, like here we are. And I'd probably say he's been the most influential. For advice, yes. From what I've learned from him, yes. But just because like Ryan has never really told me no. If I've
Mm-hmm.
had doubts, he's been like, "Why are you doubting? Just do it." Like he definitely gave me a sense of like, if you want something, you just have to say and go and do it, and it will happen. And he really, really did, especially as a director, took a chance on me when like no one was checking for me before I got any of the assisting gigs that I did, before I directed anything. He could just see that I had something and I had passion and I really wanted to work, and he gave me a space to do that. So yeah. I think I would say him. I hope he doesn't see this. His head doesn't reflect it.
That's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off that as well, because exactly, like, I echo everything I said. He is one of those people who are also up there who again took a chance and like never says no. He's the biggest advocate for like everyone who needs it and at the right time. And I mean, the man's a writer. He's got away with words. Like, he just says what you need to hear when you don't ask for it, and it's
But you didn't ask for
really
it.
nice support.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, Ryan's a G. Yeah, listen.
No, that's lovely. That's nice. And I guess this is my last question for everyone is to know what you guys are doing next or what your future plans are.
Okay. Oof, big question.
Get time off.
Sleep, rest.
Yeah.
Um, but I can't really say too much, but like next year, me and my I don't know, can I say this? No, I'm not gonna say it. He's gonna be like, why are you telling people? But basically me and my partner are working on something. He's an actor, but he's also a writer. I'm an actor, but I'm also a director. We're both facilitators and we're both very passionate about facilitation and bringing kind of from the ground up and pulling people up because that's why we're here. So we're kind of working on something that encapsulates all of that and allows us to like create work together. Yeah, and I'm also trying to write something. Poetry. That's poetry, but also a play. I don't really know. I did a little bit of it at with my really good friend and also creative collaborator DK Fashola's show. She's got a company called Initiative DKF with her, who's run by her and another creative called Wafi. And they had a night called No 2, which was a night of like short films that they created that were Arts Council supported, but also responses to that. And they really wonderfully commissioned me to write something in response to it that was poetic. And that I think I'm going to expand into something bigger. So if you know, you know. If you were there, you were there. If you weren't, you'll see when it comes out. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, that makes
Nice.
me exciting. I'm glad you're writing
Yeah.
something.
Scary. Thank you.
What am I working on next? What am I allowed to say that I'm working on next?
Yeah. And yes, sir. Yes.
And we are associate artists at Catford Broadway. Well, Broadway Theatre. I keep calling it the wrong name. Broadway Theatre in Catford. And sorry, it's a clock, very old clock, goes every half an hour. We want to make sure we're putting on work. I mean, first of all, we get a venue, we get a studio theatre, rehearsal space, office space. We want to share that with our community for as cheap as we can, because putting on theatre is expensive and it shouldn't cost to be creative. At least it shouldn't cost an arm and a leg. So we want to make sure that our values are poured into that space, and it is, vibing and full every day with all the good creative energy. We're taking a show to New York in January. We're taking Queens of Sheba to New York, which is really exciting. It's in New York, I think nearly the whole month of Jan, from like the 11th, 12th of Jan to like the 22nd of Jan, at Under the Radar Festival. I have set up my independent company finally as a producer, so that's going to be doing a few more things next year. It's been a long time coming.
Love that.
Yeah, that's all the stuff I can say. The stuff I can't say, you'll find out next year.
Both of you guys have got some really exciting things coming out, which is I'm going to be looking out for you both. So super excited. No, that's really awesome. But both of you, thank you so much for talking to me and telling me everything about We Rise, and also just about yourselves. Like, so interesting, both of you. And I wish you both the most success, and also a lovely festive season of Christmas. So thank you.
Thank you, you too.